Do you have to pay taxes on your PPP loan? Will you be on the hook with the IRS for the funding you received with the EIDL advance? Clearly, this is a common concern for most small business owners, and digging through the IRS website or trying to decipher information released by the SBA can leave you scratching your head. But in today's video, I'll break it all down for you, nice and easy, so you can digest it, and I'll cover how PPP loans and EIDL advances affect your 2020 taxes, so you can be fully prepared when it's time to file that paperwork. One thing to note is that laws surrounding these government loans have changed over the last few months and probably will continue to change moving forward. We have a blog post on our website that will monitor those changes and continually update over time. So I'll go ahead and drop a link to that article below so you can stay up to date. So how do PPP loan affect 2020 taxes? And are PPP loans taxable? For federal tax purposes, PPP loan funds that have been forgiven are excluded from your business's gross income. In other words, any portion of your PPP loan that has been forgiven will not be included as part of your company's taxable income. And even PPP loan funds that were not forgiven are still not considered as taxable income. Just like a normal loan, you do have to pay them back, of course, but you're free from the income tax at least. Now, how do EIDL loans affect taxes? Another loan you may have taken advantage of during the COVID-19 pandemic is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, or EIDL. As the name describes, the Economic Injury Disaster Loans are federal assistance for private sector businesses during economic disasters. But one noticeable difference between the EIDL for those affected by the coronavirus and past EIDLs is that the Small Business Administration offered an advance of up to $10,000 for qualifying small businesses. This advance allowed businesses to receive funds quickly, and while EIDL funds are required to be repaid, the EIDL advance is a grant that does not have to be repaid. And funds obtained through the EIDL and EIDL advance can be used as working capital or to cover any other operating expenses for businesses impacted by COVID-19. Well, are the EIDL loan or advance taxable? If you receive the EIDL loan, taxes on these funds work like any other business loan taxation. In other words, funds from the EIDL are not reported as taxable business income on your tax return, and you can also lower your tax liability by deducting any expenses covered by the use of these funds. Initially, funds from the EIDL advances, though, were to be reported as taxable income. However, that decision was reversed under the Consolidated Appropriations Act, and now funds from the EIDL advance are not reported as taxable income either. Additionally, qualifying expenses can be written off to lower your tax liability. Speaking of write-offs, let's see how PPP loans and tax deductions work. The IRS issued a notice that further clarifies how PPP loan funds should be handled for 2020 income tax returns, initially making it so that expenses paid with PPP funds could not be claimed as deductions. Fortunately, in December of 2020, Congress made a change that superseded this notice, stating that no deduction shall be denied, no tax attribute shall be reduced, and no basis increase shall be denied by reason of the exclusion from gross income provided. That was all in Section 1106 of the CARES Act, but in layman's terms, this means that expenses paid with PPP loan proceeds can be claimed as deductions. In summary, this is what you should expect from your PPP loan come tax time. Forgiven loan funds are not counted as taxable income and may be deducted from your business expenses, and even loan funds that are not forgiven are not counted as taxable income and can be deducted from your expenses. I also want to cover the employee retention credit and how that might affect your taxes as well. Small business owners may be eligible to claim the employee retention credit. This credit is available to businesses with 500 or fewer employees that also meet the following criteria. Were required by a governmental authority to fully or partially suspend operations as a result of COVID-19, or experienced a gross decline in receipts of at least 50% in a calendar quarter in 2020 when compared to the same quarter in 2019. If you're eligible, you can receive a credit of up to 50% of eligible wages paid per quarter to each employee. Maximum wages per quarter per employee are capped at $10,000. That means you can claim a maximum of $5,000 per quarter per employee. And you don't need to wait to claim this credit on your 2020 taxes either. Instead, credits can be claimed on your quarterly tax return. Lastly, if you received a PPP loan, expect a possible tax audit. All recipients of the PPP loan should be expected to be audited, and there's a higher probability that the IRS will audit you. An audit is a pretty scary word, especially if you've never faced one before. However, as long as you have your records in order and you use the funds appropriately, the audit process should be pretty painless. Here's how to make the process go even smoother. First of all, don't procrastinate. Sure, an audit can be scary, but ignoring it won't make it go away. Read over your notice carefully and begin compiling your documentation as soon as possible. Second, keep all records. Receipts, statements, payroll records, and PPP documentation should all be kept on file for at least 6 years after your PPP loan is fully repaid or forgiven. Also, you want to make copies. If you're sending off documentation, make sure to send copies. Always retain your original documentation in case you need it at a later time. And finally, hire a CPA. A CPA, unlike a regular accountant, will be able to represent and defend your business against the IRS if necessary. A CPA can also offer important tax advice for preparation and future audits. Alright, so that does it for today's video. If it was helpful, please hit that like button below. If you have any general comments or questions, make sure you leave them in the comments section. If there are any additional resources that I can provide for you, I'll list them down in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and as always, thank you for watching, Mavericks. Till next time.